Hi, Mr. Smith. I hope you're having a good evening. I'm here to start my persuasive speech on the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One. So, to give a brief history or a little bit of a backstory of these two consoles, the Xbox One came out on November 22nd, 2013, and the PS4 came out November 15th, 2013, just a few more days before the Xbox One did. The PlayStation and Xbox One in general have been around. The first PlayStation, the very first ever PlayStation, came out in 1995. That was the PlayStation 1. So, needless to say, the PlayStation has originally been out a lot longer than the Xbox, because the Xbox, the very first one, came out around November of 2001, so around the early 2000s. So clearly, one is older than the other, but that doesn't always mean one is better than the other, and that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to persuade you on which console to choose for, as people like to say, the next-gen consoles. Should you choose the PS4 or should you choose the Xbox One? So to dive in, I'm going to dive in to the looks of the console itself. So I'm going to go and get and these are both of my consoles, by the way, which made it a little bit more easy to do this speech because I already own both and I know how both work and function. But onto the looks. The look of the Xbox is literally, it's nothing too special. It is literally just a big hunk of square, hence the name Xbox. It's been like that since Microsoft even came out with the Xbox. All of them are literally just squares, nothing special. So here, that's an infrared touch button, so all you'd have to do, touch that, and it comes on. Now right here is your insert for your discs. You just pop it in and it slides it right in as if you were putting a CD into a car. And then your eject button is the same infrared touch as this. You just tap that, you get your disc out, and that's pretty much it. And you put it in the box. And then onto the back, you have a whole bunch of USB ports to hook this up. There's really only two cords. One is for the HDMI, which if you're on just a TV, you hook your HDMI cord here and then hook it in the back of your TV. Then this right here where it looks like two circles, that's your main power source. That's where your power block gets hooked up to. You'll just hook your power block up into it and just plug it up into the nearest outlet and your Xbox is on. It's only takes less than 10 seconds to do, and all those other ports in the back are just backup USB ports. If one USB port breaks, you've got a backup right there. So Microsoft really took in consideration, hey, some people might be rough with their consoles, let's make a few extra USB ports. So now to the PlayStation, the look of it, I find it to have a little bit more of a unique look than the Xbox. It is just a square, but if you notice, you might be able to see it better on the side. In the front, it slopes down as if someone kind of took a butter knife and just shaved the front of it down like that. I think it's more unique looking than the Xbox One, in my opinion. So now, same as the Xbox One, you have your little slot right here where your discs go in. You kind of can't see it because those lips cover it up. You got your power button right here. Just tap that, tap it to, you double tap it to turn on, double tap it to turn off. And if you want to eject your discs, you have an eject disc right here. And then these two ports right here go for this. This cord is what you use to charge your PlayStation controller up because it doesn't run off battery packs as the controller. and you just plug it in. You take this and you get your nearest controller and you'll plug it into the top. And towards the back has your fan port. I don't know if you could see, but on the Xbox One it has two fans, and the fan ventilation's on the top. This is a little bit better because it's not on the top, because on the top, dust always likes to fall on the top. Therefore, it can clog up your fan and possibly overheat your system and destroy your system. So for this, your fan port is on this top section. Then you have other USB ports, kind of like the Xbox. This one is your main power source that you get the cord. I would get my cords, but they're all tangled up right now connected to my TV. You just find that. You just pop it in right there. And then your HDMI cord goes right beside of it. Same amount of cords as the Xbox One. Less than 10 seconds to to hook up. So now, when it comes to looks, I would go for the PS4. Because the console, you want a good looking console. The Xbox, I wish they would have done something a little different besides just, a typical square. Like put a few more designs on it. Now you can, same with the PS4, you can get these two consoles in different colors. And the Xbox, they have it in white, they have it in the traditional black. You can get like a blue one, a pink one. But they're not cheap. It's just, I don't want to spend $400, which is how much the Xbox cost and the PS4, the PlayStation 4 cost. The PlayStation 4, you can get basically the same colors. You get a blue, pink, purple, red. Just to, kind of spice up the looks a bit. Make it look cooler. Like, make it look more like you, suitable to you. Give it more character. I'd give it to the PlayStation on looks because it has that cool, unique angle slope. It's hard to explain. Angle slope in the front. And I like how it looks like you're stacking up 3 different consoles on it too. It's like stair steps. I'd give the looks to the PlayStation 4, not the Xbox One, because this one has more character to it. And it just looks unique in my opinion. I like unique looking stuff. So now that we're talking about the looks, I kind of want to go over touch up on the controllers a little bit. So, the controller for the Xbox One, it's just a controller like that. You have your A button, your B button, your X button, and Y button, and they're color coordinated. You have your right joystick, and you can click that in. Your left joystick, you got left and right triggers and bumpers up here for different activities or games involve these different buttons up here. And you have this, which is your start button, and this, which is also like an alternative back button if you don't want to use the B button. It's big. It is big. It is a little difficult to fit in the hands. And how Microsoft put these together, they have like these little cracks right here where they kind of welded them together. And sometimes if you squeeze too hard, they pinch your skin. And it hurts pretty bad sometimes if you're pinching a little bit too hard. It's just a typical controller. And then on to the PlayStation 4 controller. As you can see, it's clearly smaller than... It's more slim and a little bit smaller. And you can tell a difference because instead of the A, B, X, and Y, you have shapes. Like the X button on the PS4 is the A button on the Xbox. Same concept, they just use shapes instead. And if you can tell where the joysticks are, they're directly beside of each other. Unlike the Xbox, they're in like a diagonal from each other. And your pad for the PlayStation is also right here instead of like at the bottom towards the Xbox. And so your triggers, You have an L1 trigger, which is your left 1 trigger, your R1, which is right 1, and an R2, which is a right 2 trigger, and an L2, which is your left 2 trigger. And with this being smaller, you can honestly fit this in your hands way better. You can get a better grip than you can for the Xbox. It just feels, and it's so much lighter too. It's lighter, it's not as clunky, and as I showed on the Xbox controller, the cracks that they have that weld these together aren't as big. So you can squeeze this controller as much as you want and it won't pinch the palm of your hand. And it causes for like good relaxation. Both of them have a very smooth feel to them. They not too sticky. These have never, both controllers have never really stuck on me or really broke at all. They were pretty durable. They really, because they took in consideration, because some people like to get mad at their games and slam their controllers down on the ground. So both Sony, who are the creators of PlayStation, and the creators of Xbox, which are Microsoft, took into consideration to build a more durable controller that can last impact, say if someone gets mad and chucks it on the ground. So now, on from the looks and the controllers, I'm going to talk about the performance of both consoles. So I'm going to start with the performance of the Xbox. The performance of the Xbox, when it first came out, it had amazing performance. No issues. It was never too laggy. It wasn't buggy. It never froze. It was just smooth. And you go onto your Xbox dashboard, which is like where you can choose what games you wanted to play, or you would see where different stuff was downloading, kind of like on a Windows computer, kind of like that. They call it the Xbox dashboard. And it worked. It was flawless. It was a lot better than its counterpart, the Xbox 360. But until a few years later, Bill Gates, the owner and the leader of Microsoft, wanted to up the performance a little bit more and add Windows 10, which was on the computers. So he made the executive decision, let's put Windows 10 on the Xbox One console. Let's see if it can truly handle it. Because this console and the PlayStation were the two most powerful consoles at the time, which is crazy to think about because every year technology gets better. And the Xbox outshined the Microsoft computer for a little bit, but not for long. So they put Windows 10 on it, and it really messed up the performance of the Xbox. Remember when I said it wasn't laggy or buggy, it didn't freeze? Well, the Windows 10 technology from the computers completely just broke the Xbox. It was, for me personally, I would have times where my whole Xbox would just freeze and just completely crash and do a hard reboot, which actually is not good for the Xbox because it can ruin your hard drive. It can corrupt your saved data. It was just all kinds of bad reviews. According to the Microsoft website, because I was searching up reviews on Windows 10 when they did it, a lot of people weren't having very pretty reviews with the Windows 10 interface. People were like, bring back your actual homemade interface. Don't do this Windows computer. This is a gaming console. It's not a computer. We're here to game on these, not to just, do work like you would a normal computer. So, needless to say, right now, as of 2020 and these past few years, the Xbox performance has been kind of bad. Honestly, kind of bad is saying it nice. It's been pretty bad, just to be honest with you. Performance has been slacking, especially for Microsoft. They're a AAA company. You'd expect them to have something that was really good and just not eventually ruin it. So now, on to the PlayStation. This performance came out the same year as the Xbox One. The performance on this, I cannot stress enough how amazing this is. Sony didn't do any updates. They didn't change the performance or interface like Microsoft did. They have kept this interface the same since launch, since day one of November 15th, 2013. Just few minor updates for some bug issues. But my experience with this, I've only had the PlayStation 4 now since 2017. But my experience since then has been nothing but good reviews, good, amazing performance. And it just works beautifully. And one thing to mention, the Xbox, when you're on your Xbox dashboard, it doesn't play music. It's just like silence. It's like you could hear a pin drop. But if you go into your PlayStation on the interface, on the dashboard of the PlayStation, it plays like soothing music. It's like it sounds like a piano, like an auto-tuned piano. But it doesn't make it boring. It makes it kind of entertaining because you're sitting there and like, oh, this is very soothing music. I actually really like this. When I first got this, I wasn't expecting music to be played. I was like, this is really cool. This is new. I was never used to that on the Xbox. I was just used to it to be nothing but silence. So that is the performance. The performance, again, I'm going to give the victor to the PlayStation 4 for the performance.